Welcome to The Roar, your source for all Milton Middle School news. I'm your host, Johnny Browning, and here's this week's stories. For our first story this week, we will be heading outside with the 8th grade and interviewing Mr. Good and Mr. Atkins about their bottle rocket project.
3, 2, 1. Yeah!
Madeline, how did your bottle rocket do?
At first, my bottle rocket didn't fly at all because it didn't build any pressure in it. But the second time, it went up in the air for about 5 seconds.
Thank you.
How did your bottle rocket do?
Pretty bad. I got like 2 seconds on it.
Thank you.
Mr. Atkins, can you tell us about the bottle rocket project?
Well, it's a chance for the kids to get together and come up with an experimental design for their bottle rocket. They're going to bring in a 2-liter bottle. They're going to design the bottle. They're going to try to make it fly as high as they can. And then we're going to collect data and analyze the data and then make modifications accordingly.
Dylan, what do you like about doing bottle rockets in Mr. Good's class?
I like launching them and building them.
So Keegan, what do you like doing about bottle rockets in Mr. Atkins' class?
Mainly the teacher, Mr. Atkins. He's low-key a G.
Mr. Good, can you tell us your favorite part about the bottle rocket project?
Yeah, my favorite part is probably seeing the when we have some innovative ideas, kids come up with stuff that hasn't been done before or that I didn't think of. I also like seeing the kids become invested in an assignment that they're supposed to do in school. So, you know, getting to have fun while we're learning, to me, is probably the favorite part.
Who do you think has the better bottles?
A,
No.
Team A.
Team B.
All the way.
It's not
Team
even.
A.
Whoa, what?
I said A.
I said B.
A.
It's definitely
A
B.
has the better rocket.
Get it right.
A.
B.
A.
Team B.
A.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. 1, 2, 3, 4. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
And this week's word of the week is delectation, meaning delight or enjoyment. Here's a good example.
A chocolate bar for your delectation?
Ooh, that would be delightful. This is so good.
Ma'am, that'll be $1.
I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for this chocolate bar today.
No, I need it now.
And now to Lex Whitney with this week's teacher feature. Lex?
Thank you, Johnny. Miss Kinder, how long have you been teaching?
I've been teaching about 4 weeks. I got to do some practice student teaching in college, so I was here last year with you and other people in 7th grade, and I got to go to Huntington High for a couple months, but I've only been officially teaching for about 4 whole weeks.
Will, what do you like about Miss Kinder's class?
It's pretty easy.
What projects have you done or planned on doing with your students?
So I still have a lot of planning to do, but one of my favorite things I did in the past was a bunch of fun activities for Pi Day, which is in March 14th to be exact, because 3.14. So I'm a nerd, I like Pi Day, but I just like to do things to keep students engaged and not always just doing math on paper. So other fun things I plan to do and have done a little bit this year is I like to let students make videos or a drawing to make a connection with math sometimes. And hopefully I'll find some more fun things up my sleeve later.
What do you like about Miss Kinder's class?
I like that her assignments are really easy.
What made you want to teach?
I grew up with my mom being a teacher, and so I got to learn some from her, and then I also got to learn from my teachers growing up, and I just always thought it was something I could do, but I didn't know if it's what I wanted to do. But I started to develop a passion for math because I think a lot of people don't always feel very confident in math. So I wanted to be a person that could help students build confidence in math, but also just to teach them life lessons and build a friendship with students. But I'm still the teacher, you still have to listen to me. But I like relating to students.
What do you guys like about Miss Kinder's class?
She's amazing and brilliant and beautiful.
She's goofy.
What's your favorite thing about Milton Middle School?
My favorite thing about Milton Middle School is definitely the people. This is where I grew up. I went to middle school here. And so some of the teachers here, they were my teachers whenever I was in school as a middle schooler. But I really love working with the teachers on my team and just other teachers in the building. And the students are pretty good most of the time too. So it's a fun place to work when you like coming to a place with the people that are here.
What do you like about Miss Kinder's class?
It's a good learning environment.
What do you want your students to take away from your class?
I want my students to know that I care about them. Even sometimes I might have to be tough, I might have to be the bad guy. I do want them to learn math. So I think the biggest thing, I would like them to care a little bit more about math and be a little bit more confident in math. But I also want them to be good people that know that I love them and want the best for them.
Thank you, Miss Kinder. Back to you, Johnny.
this week's Panther Picks, do you prefer the lights on or off in the classroom?
Do you prefer to do your work on iPad or paper?
iPad.
Do you prefer work on iPad or paper?
I feel like paper's easier.
Do you prefer to do your work on iPad or paper?
iPad.
Do you prefer to do your work on iPad or paper?
Neither. I'd rather not do work. Luke, do you prefer to do your work on paper or iPad?
Paper.
Do you prefer your work on iPad or paper?
Paper.
Do you prefer to do your work on iPad or paper?
iPad.
Do you prefer your work on iPad or paper?
iPad.
Do you prefer to do your work on iPad or paper?
iPad.
Do you prefer to do your work on iPad or paper?
Probably paper.
Do you prefer to do your work on iPad or paper?
iPad.
Luke, do you prefer to do your work on iPad or paper?
iPad.
Do you prefer iPad or paper?
Paper.
Do you prefer assigned work on paper or iPad?
I think it depends on the assignment, but I'm a little old school and like paper assignments.
Dylan, what do you prefer to do your work on, iPad or paper?
I'd say I like to do it more on iPad because I can play cool math games whenever I'm done.
Do you prefer iPad or paper?
Paper.
Miss Kinder, what do you prefer to assign your work on, iPad or paper?
I prefer paper. Even though I'm young, I can be old-fashioned. I like to work on paper, so I like to assign it on paper, but I still expect people to submit it on Schoology, and I post it on Schoology too. But I prefer paper.
Do you prefer to do assigned work on iPad or paper?
iPad.
Chris, do you prefer to do your work on iPad or paper?
iPad.
Miss Watson, do you prefer to assign work on iPad or paper?
I prefer iPad, but my students actually prefer paper.
What do you prefer to do your work on, iPad or paper?
100% paper.
Do you prefer iPad or paper?
Paper.
Do you prefer work on iPad or paper?
Paper.
Do you prefer iPad or paper?
Probably iPad because it's easier. How do you prefer to do your work, iPad or paper?
iPad.
Austin, what do you prefer to do your work on, your iPad or paper?
Probably iPad.
What do you prefer to do your work on, iPad or paper?
Probably iPad. Do you prefer iPad or paper?
iPad because it's easier.
What do you prefer to assign your work on, iPad or paper? Well, that's all for this week. We hope you enjoyed our show. Make sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe on all social medias at Milton Middle Schools. And remember, go Panthers! Yep. What are you...
I'm here with Smith.
Where am I looking?
Can you tell us about the bottle rocket project?
You were going to ask him that.
Oh, are we going?